In March 2020, Louisville, Kentucky was the center of a major drug investigation led by the police. The operation focused on Jamarcus Glover, who was orchestrating a drug trafficking network along with Adrian Walker. These are people who need money to support their families and to eat. They had been struggling to do so they turned to drug dealing. Authorities were also tracking Kenneth Walker, who was unrelated to Adrian, but was sharing the same last name. Kenneth lived with his girlfriend Breonna Taylor, who was a black nurse. They together were staying at an apartment where, on the night of March 13th, 2020, they were in bed watching a movie. Breonna had been exhausted from a long shift and had fallen asleep. Outside, at least 7 police officers had surrounded the apartment and forcibly entered, aiming to apprehend Kenneth. The raid quickly turned chaotic. Kenneth Walker, believing intruders were breaking in, fired a warning gunshot. Officers Jonathan Mattingly, Bret Hankison, and Miles Cosgrove returned fire. Hankison moved to the side of the apartment and fired 10 rounds. Many of those bullets hit in the neighbor's apartment, shattering a window and a sliding glass door. Officers then arrested Kenneth, who had been telling them that his girlfriend had been shot, but these officers ignored him. By the time they checked the apartment, it was too late. Breonna Taylor was already dead. She had been shot while sleeping. The Jefferson County Coroner's Office confirmed that she slowly bled to death, and that these police officers, if acting quick enough, could have saved her, but they took too long. Investigations followed, conducted by the FBI, Kentucky DCI, and Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. Bret Hankison was fired in June 2020, Cosgrove in January 2021, and Mattingly was forced to retire in April 2021. Nationwide protests fueled by Breonna's death and others such as George Floyd, Daniel Prude, Rayshard Brooks, intensified scrutiny on the case. Following the arrests, Glover, Adrian, and Kenneth were booked on 8 drug felonies and held at the Jefferson County Jail under $150,000 cash-only bonds. Bonds that had been issued by Judge Jennifer Bryant Wilcox of the Jefferson County District Court. Adrian bonded out with assistance. This was due to him having led police to Kenneth's location. Kenneth remained in custody until the charges for shooting an officer were permanently dismissed by Judge Olu Stevens on March 8, 2021, who believed his self-defense claim and believed that Kenneth did indeed presume the police officers as intruders. Kenneth later filed civil rights claims against the Louisville Metro government and their LMPD officers. Those claims were resolved in 2022 with a settlement of $2 million. Jamarcus Glover, already on probation, was found in violation due to his continued drug activity. In 2024, Judge Mitch Perry revoked his probation and sentenced him to 7 years in prison. He remains incarcerated to this day at the Roederer Assessment Center with an appeal pending. Tragically, Adrian Walker was found dead on November 20th, 2020, on Magazine Street in Louisville. The charges against him were dropped due to his death, and this murder remains unsolved, a cold case. This is a chilling reminder of the dangers of snitching and cooperating with law enforcement during investigations. A Jefferson County grand jury reviewed 2 state criminal probes. No officers were indicted for Breonna's death, but Hankison was indicted in September 2020 for first-degree wanton endangerment. This was due to putting her neighbors in danger during the shootout. He was granted a $45,000 bond immediately and pleaded not guilty. The DOJ later filed federal charges in August 2022 for Bret Hankison, deprivation of civil rights, for Kelly Goodlett, conspiracy, for Joshua James, conspiracy and obstruction, for Kyle Meany, making false statements. The officers pleaded not guilty and remained out of custody pending trial. Neighboring apartment residents sued Hankison, Cosgrove, and Mattingly for firing blindly into their home, shattering gas, and endangering their lives. Breonna's family also filed a wrongful death lawsuit. Louisville Metro government settled these suits for $12 million in September 2020. Mattingly countersued Kenneth Walker for injuries he claimed to have sustained. That lawsuit was dismissed in 2023 after an out-of-court settlement. The officers appeared at the police merit board before a group of trustees. They tried to be reinstated. Bret Hankison is currently awaiting a decision, and the other two had their terminations upheld, meaning they will not be going back to work. In February 2022, Hankison faced trial for endangerment. A jury of 12 found him not guilty. In August 2022, Kelly Goodlett pleaded guilty in federal court and agreed to testify against the other officers. From October to November 2023, the federal trial for Hankison was held and ended in a mistrial, with the jury unable to reach a verdict. He was retried in October 2024 and found guilty the following month on the 1st of November. In July 21st, 2025, Hankison was sentenced to 33 months in prison. He requested to remain free pending appeal. Judge Jennings denied the request. On October 9, 2025, Hankison surrendered to the Fort Dix Federal Prison in New Jersey. In August 22, 2024, Federal Judge Charles Simpson dismissed felony charges against James and Meany, leaving the misdemeanor violation of civil rights. Their cases remain unresolved and may proceed to trial later. The Breonna Taylor case remains a profound example of systemic failures and legal complexities, the human costs of flawed policing. Even as some officers face accountability, others await their day in court, and behind every headline, the lives lost and altered remain painfully real. I know this was not the most informative episode. I will be covering this case with full info later on. So hang on tight today or stay tuned for that. Till next time, have a good rest of your day and take care.